You go on Google.
Oh, these?
Some of them are on live stream.
Yeah, it's kind of a mess right now because my phone broke.
Like
And I still-
right now, you're speaking another language.
I can say, I'll send you a link if you're interested, if you want it. It's a mess. I gotta
You
clean it up.
sent me something, but it
You
didn't.
give us the whole first course.
Yeah, but Mark sent me something, but I couldn't.
You couldn't open it? I think it was.
You had to go on, you had
I think it was a live
they gave you
stream.
2 choices and you had to music or
Yeah,
something
sorry.
like one of them, and that's what. That's how
I don't know what I'm doing either, so.
Oh, that was one that I couldn't open.
So yeah, I'll clean it up. Don't worry, and give you something easier.
No worries.
Alrighty.
You pretty much just listen to it to do the meditations.
Right.
How to take you through it one reads and then bring it in the meditation and then I pause so I can then do the meditation and then I click back on so we can bring the person back.
Works, yeah.
Because instead I have to keep opening my eyes because I don't have the preliminaries.
Memorized.
Yeah, I'm pretty close though. Although I think your voice just soothes me. I don't think that I'm
He's got a great
ready
voice.
for
I don't know.
You don't even need music, just Mark's voice is like enough to put you in the zone.
That's proof of these teachings because I don't hear
Oh, it's nice.
it. Must be like the irritating person.
Yeah, well, it's like shush.
I don't hear. I hate
It's
hearing my
very
voice
soothing,
on
it's
camera.
very calming, your voice.
I'm like videoing when my kid's doing something and I'm telling them to do something and then I watch the video.
I know it's the worst. I can't.
Yeah.
Like if it ever comes on my phone by accident, I'm like, oh, get this off.
What is that me?
Alrighty. How are you all doing? Yeah.
Good.
How's the weeks? Stressful. Sorry about last week.
No
I didn't see
problem.
you too, but.
Sciatic nerve pain went away.
Huh?
The sciatic
did?
nerve pain, yeah.
Oh, good.
The day or two after.
Doing all those
celebration.
stretches.
Yeah.
Good. All right, you wanna sit for a few?
Sure.
Meditate. Does that really throw you off when people are out there talking? No? Do you notice? You're all concentration.
I'm gonna close my eyes, so I'm fine.
Okay. If you can learn to meditate with sounds, then you'll be really good without sounds. But you should be quiet when you're meditating. All right, so let's just close eyes for a few. So get into your posture. So nice and tall in your spine. Just still the body. Relax your shoulders. And draw the low belly in just very gently. Relax your face, forehead, jaw, corners of the mouth, corners of the eyes, and the eyelids. And let's just start with the perfect 10. So trying to get to a count of 10 breaths without your mind leaving the breath. If your mind leaves, start your count back over. If you get to 10, start your count over and start your count on an exhale. So exhale's first half of breath, inhale second half. And try to be really strict, really honest. So really on top of what the mind is, making sure that it's, if you go off, that you start your count back over. And trying to get to 10 breaths. Maybe instead of making 10 your goal, make your goal catching the mind as it's left. Like see how much on alert you can be, how aware you can be of what the mind is doing, where it's at. And like make that the goal. Like once you catch the mind, then that's the goal. And you start your count back over. Okay, then let that go. And we'll briefly move through preliminaries. So first preliminary is going for refuge. So general idea here is just bringing to mind your best understanding of karma, best understanding of emptiness. Basic idea is that everything you think, say, and do is important because that's what's creating all your suffering or all your happiness for you. So your best understanding of that, how every action creates a seed, an imprint in the mind stream, which then ripens to create your world around you, for you, in the future. So take refuge in the fact that if you want to be happy, if you want to change your world, you just got to change your behavior. That's true help. Understanding that is true help. Then generating bodhicitta. So bring to mind your highest ideals here for practice, and bodhicitta is the wish to end your suffering so that you can help other people end their suffering as well. So try to develop a bit of that in your heart. Maybe think of the people that are suffering in your world and just include them for your motivation for coming tonight, for practicing, for trying to understand these things. And just dedicate all that effort to being able to achieve the goals, to change your life, so that you be of more service to others. And next preliminary is bring to mind a holy being for you. So somebody that's a teacher or mentor, or someone that has some high qualities. Everyone's different. There's no one person for all people. Everybody has a different person. Bring to mind the person for you that represents the highest ideals. And just think about the qualities that you see in them, the good qualities, and just appreciate them, thinking about them. So that's called mental prostration, or just basically you're bringing to mind the good qualities and just appreciating them. And then next is make them an offering. Have them come sit in front of you, if you haven't already. And just make them an offering for being here, for being part of your life. Whether that's in a very close way, or maybe just a more setback way, not so close in your life, but they remain a presence and they remain an idea for you of what it means to be that kind of person. So highest offering is your practice, your attempts at trying to straighten out your own shit, fix your mind. If there's something else you'd like to offer, you can offer that. And then purification. So confess to them something that you did in the past day or so that you weren't so proud of. That if karma is accurate, that unkind thing put an imprint into my mind stream, like a little drop of poison into the well. So try to develop a little regret for it, whatever that negative deed was. And then make a deal not to do that again for a certain period of time. Like, true regret is different than guilt. It's not like you're a bad person and I'm so guilty for doing that, because guilt implies that you'll probably do it again and you're not taking personal responsibility for it. Whereas regret is like you just drank some poison that you didn't know was poison. It's that thought after you drank it and then you realize that it's not a guilt, it's a healthy regret, like that was the dumbest thing I could have done. So just make a plan not to do that again for a certain period of time. Ultimately, the idea is to stop it forever in your mind, in your world, to stop that habit. But you'll be lying to yourself if you say you can stop it for the rest of your life. So make it a period of time that you know you can follow through with. Because if you don't, then you'll just be lying to yourself, creating another negative imprint in your mind. So maybe it's just for the next hour. You'll restrain yourself, or the next day. And think of something you can do to counter that negativity. Some positive imprint now you can do to kind of outweigh that. And the most powerful kind of purification, like makeup activity, is thinking about the idea of emptiness, thinking about how my actions are what creates my view of the world, my perspective of the world, whether that's a crappy one or a pleasant one. That's coming from 100% within my control, but in the past, by your actions that you plan it. So the best thing you can do to counter, it's kind of like a cure-all, is just think about emptiness, think about how things work, how the irritating person exists, how the pen exists, and the power of that. Just even thinking about it for a few seconds, 10 seconds, a minute maybe, is tremendous. They say it has the power to just change the mind dramatically, and it wipes away negative seeds. I guess it's kind of like the difference between using a spray bottle to spray some water on something to clean it, or a fire hose. Much more power. And then lastly, bring to mind something good you did. And take a moment to rejoice. Something maybe in the past day, the past week, and just try to get in the habit of feeling happy and good about the good things you're doing. So the more detailed you can get, and every time you think about the good things you're doing, you're replanting those seeds like more and more and more. So it's not just through the action of when you're doing something kind for somebody that you're putting imprints in your mind, but every time you think about it and rejoice about it, you're putting more. So the more you can rejoice, and you don't need somebody else to rejoice, the more you can rejoice about the good things you're doing, the more that fertilizes and grows that imprints, that grows those seeds. Otherwise, the kind things you're doing, they can go into the mind and stay there for 100+ years without ripening. So rejoicing is the special ingredient that helps quicken, and it's like miracle grow. It makes the seeds grow stronger and ripen quicker. So where you can start to see your world changing, and things stop becoming coincidental. Okay, and then come back to breath, just for a few, and then we'll go into a main meditation. So if you need to shift, very mindfully shift the body. So if you ever need to shift in meditation, use it as part of the meditation. So don't just mindlessly shift. Like, be aware of where every part of your body is going. And so now bring to mind that person sitting in front of you again. And just get an idea of her, the good qualities. So in the sense of perfecting oneself, there are 6 perfectionizers that are part of the practice that someone who's perfected their mind has accomplished, has perfected these practices. And one is generosity. They're very, very extremely, ultimately generous. So just see them with this exceptional quality, this perfection of generosity. Just never not sharing, always willing to give their possessions, their things, their time. So if that person, maybe that you brought to mind, doesn't have those qualities, then just imagine them with these qualities. And then 2 is perfection of ethics. Perfectly kind, never harming another person or another being in their body, speech, or mind, even down to thought. So just total love for all of their beings, no matter how small. And perfection of patience. So patience isn't like they have a really great ability to wait for the bus or something like that. It's more when someone presses their buttons, when their irritating person walks in the room, they don't get angry. They don't get irritated. Because ultimately they understand what creates irritating people for them. Understand how irritating people exist as coming from me and not at me. And then the next is perfection of joy. So they're totally happy to do things for others, like very joyful in their efforts of service to other people, helping other people with whatever that is that they need, never complaining. And 2 more, perfection of meditation, concentration. So just a mind that's completely still and peaceful. Like if you can step into their mind, it would just be the most chill place. Nothing disturbing their peace of mind, like a perfectly still surface of a lake. Not the slightest little wave. And then finally, the perfection of wisdom. Perfectly wise. They understand where things are coming from. Basically, if things are coming from you and not at you. Things are coming from your past deeds, your kindness to others. It's what creates all happiness for yourself. So an earth-shattering realization and understanding of that their mind possesses. And now, imagine that you can kind of let go of your idea of who yourself is, who you are, and the things that hold you back from achieving that. Like we're visualizing them as separate from us. I still have things that are holding me back and that I have to work on. But in this meditation, try to let them all go. Let go all the things that hold you back from having a mind like theirs. And just step into their, almost like you step into their body and their mind. Like if you can just swap places and just try to experience what that would be like to have a mind that was made up of those 6 perfections. And just try to, for the next few minutes, just try to embody that. Perfectly content, perfectly happy, perfectly wise. And if the little nagging voice comes up saying, well, no, I have this or that holds me back, let that go. Let go of all those things and just see yourself as a being like that. Like practice. Also realize that these are already qualities coming from you. You're visualizing these in a meditation. So these are already in your mind. They're already part of you. We already have the ability to step into them. It's the storylines that hold us back. So let go of the storylines. And just try to step into that. Okay, and then slowly come back to your breath. Take 3 breaths. And then come out. Stretch. Everyone good?
It's just Martin's girls tonight.
I don't even know what time it is without Kevin being here. I
True.
don't know what the beep is.
Yeah, right. It's helpful.
It's so funny because you're always at that
Is it
part where you're
possible
talking
you
about
meditate
the irritating
while you're
person, and then that beep goes off. I'm like, don't breathe.
I didn't even hear beeps.
What'd you say? No,
You
Kevin,
know,
his
no,
watch.
usually when Kevin's here, his watch at 8 o'clock will be
Yeah.
on. And we'll be meditating. I'm like,
What were you going to say? Sorry.
Can I meditate laying down?
Is that possible or no? That's not a good position.
I've always.
It's not recommended because
Okay.
you just have, when you lay down, your mind is just in the habit of falling asleep. So better to stay upright, just for the sake of awakeness of mind.
Okay.
I've actually fallen asleep in meditation sitting on.
See, I've been meditating in the morning, laying down when I first wake up in the morning, but I'm awake.
No, you can see meditation meditation is all inclusive. It doesn't mean it has to just happen. You can have a practice where you sit, but you can be, you should in the morning when you wake up, while you're lying around bed, think about some stuff that's going to help you through your day, that could be a meditation. It doesn't necessarily have to be, you sit for 10, your period of time. Huh? Yeah, there's walking meditation.
Yeah.
I mean, in a broader sense, meditation just means focusing and trying to stay focused.
I mean, I'm awake.
You keep your
But,
eyes open?
pardon me?
Do you keep your eyes open?
No.
Yeah, I
As
mean-
long as I wake up, but before I get it, if I get out of bed, I don't meditate. Like, there's too many things for me to do in the next.
Well, I always say,
half thing. So I do it
try
before I
to-
get,
Try to create a practice. tiny practice.
Right.
Start with tiny. If you say you can't do it, bring me your schedule and we'll go through it. We'll find 3 minutes.
See, that's where,
I started waking up
Schedule,
earlier.
the key word.
Yeah,
that's
where
I-
That's a
Do
key word there.
you have a place that you can go and just shut the door and like be?
yeah, and I don't have, I mean, my kids are mostly gone. It's not that, it's just that
The mind gets going.
Well,
right?
yeah, once you start
Oh,
getting
yeah.
like a
If I get
million
up,
things to do.
I have this cat crying, that cat crying, this alarm clock going off for my door. What I do in the morning is I wake up and I have this big window, I look out the window, and then I close my eyes and I start meditating. But my feet don't hit the ground yet.
Yeah.
So I should get up and.
I mean, if you can sit in
I
bed.
was gonna say, why don't you just try sitting up in bed?
You're not doing anything wrong. You know, it's not to say it's wrong what you're doing, but a more formal meditation practice is generally you're sitting upright
Okay.
because of we're just so used to
Because the way
falling
your
asleep and the
wanders
mind.
to sleep.
And then, you know, as you get into meditation more, you know, there's nuances, there's obstacles that arise in meditation. And, you know, the two major ones are sleepiness and agitation, where the mind's all over the place. So in your meditation career, you'll be struggling with one of those two, if not both, you know, most of the time, you know, until you start progressing. So, you know, if you're really trying to work on those, getting deeper laying down, it's just a danger of falling asleep. I mean, you still have a danger of falling asleep sitting upright, but you're going to be more alert sitting upright. I mean, I've gotten pretty close to falling asleep, if not falling asleep, where, you know, I'll do one of these things.
Yeah,
and, you know,
that's what happens to me.
See, I don't
Like
fall
2
back,
weeks ago.
once I'm awake, I don't fall back to sleep, even if
Yeah.
I'm in
Yeah.
bed, like I just don't
Yeah.
go back to sleep.
well, try to sit upright. There's another thing
Wow.
with spine being straight. There's,
Okay.
do you remember the retreat we talked about the channels in the body?
Yes,
So there's a channel in the body that needs to be nice and not kinked in order for the mind to flow freely and
I
clearly.
remember you saying that.
So partially it's that central channel, the Sushumna Nadi, it's called in
Okay.
Sanskrit. So that's the main reason for having a spine straight.
Okay, I forgot.
Because
that.
it'll also influence the clarity of mind just by straightening that more subtle aspect of your being. You know, can I prove? Is it something that you can just cut open and see? No. You know, it's like the subtle channel. They say it's like made of. You see light, but it's not. It's more of energy where you can start to feel it through your practice. You know, it's not something that is going to be forever just a theory. But through yoga practice, you start to get more aware what's going on here, and you usually feel it. You know, when you have negative emotions really strongly, you start to feel like tightness and this more, right? We kind of talked about that thing. So that's one of the other reasons for having a straight spine and being up. When you're laying in bed, I don't know if it's definitely going to influence it a little bit, I'm sure. And it might even have, which I never heard, but it might have an influence on the way the prana is moving if you're horizontal as opposed to vertical.
Okay.
I don't know that it could be. But I've always heard that, and in my experience, I can't meditate sleeping. There is practices called yoga nidra, which translates to yogic sleep, and it's like a guided meditation where you actually the mind goes into a more subtle brain. The brain goes into a more subtle, a deeper brainwave state. So you're not sleeping and you're not conscious, which is really a powerful place for the mind to be an open receptor in. It's a really cool practice, yoga nidra. But that you do lying down.
Okay.
But that's different. That's not necessarily a meditation. Because meditation practice, we're trying to analyze or concentrate the mind on a specific thing. And the danger of lying down is falling asleep. So,
Okay. Gotcha.
So again, if you only have time to do that.
No, I can get out of bed and sit
yeah.
on my floor.
Yeah. I sit up against my,
But I just,
sometimes if I didn't meditate and I'm in bed and I find myself in bed and Lauren's sleeping next to me, I'll just sit up in bed with the lights off and I'll just sit like this in bed. I mean, if she turned the lights on, she'd be freaked out, but I'll just sit there and I'll do my meditation in bed, because it'd be more disruptive to the dogs and to her if I left the room, went to the other room. So sometimes it's just sitting in bed and stuff your pillow onto your butt.
Okay. Yeah, I can do that.
Anybody have any questions about preliminaries or that meditation?
No, I just remember to bring the people back.
What?
are people. It just upsets me when I realize that that
We didn't give
Oh.
up a gift.
they're still, yeah, we did.
Oh, I
The box?
No,
Our person that we
Our person.
visualize.
You didn't give up the gift, is that what you said?
Well, yeah, I mean, I just was happy to have that person in front of me, but I didn't.
Oh, yeah.
Well, then you get dedicated your
Oh.
house to them. That's what you did.
So yeah, we can do that at the end. Yeah, I forget to do that sometimes. I don't know. How was your experience with that meditation? Do you?
I like that.
Is it
You know
new?
which one I like the best?
What?
The drinking straw one.
McDonald's.
The straw
Hmm.
going from the crown of our head down. And then what we're putting in the straw and where we're putting it, and then it goes into our heart.
Where'd you hear that?
You've done
But what you're putting into it?
it. Mm-hmm. The thoughts that we're putting into the straw.
Oh, that. Well, the straw is Sushumna, not the central channel. Sushumna Nadi, it starts at third eye and goes up along down the spine, the back of the spine, say like a quarter an inch from your back, the back of your body.
I think because it gives me more visual, you know what I mean?
So the idea is that you bring
Think
that,
about where it's
Yeah.
going and.
you bring that
It's more
person to
powerful.
sit down in your heart chakra is the idea. So this little place, and the smaller you can make it, the better. But little place in your heart, and you kind of like make a little room. Like if you, like say it was the size of a grain of sand or something, and then you put them in, you walk in there, but it's like huge. Did anybody see
It's
Harry
like walking
Potter?
into a fairy house or something.
Everybody seen Harry Potter here?
Bed.
Remember the tent that they put up, and it's like a small little tent, and then they walk in, and it's like this huge palace inside. Like they have like a kitchen, and so like that. Should be nice and roomy and not cramped. But yeah, that's more like a channel kind of meditation.
Yeah, I like that meditation, but the one that we just did tonight too.
Yeah, that was just a
Thinking about
variation.
being-
Yeah,
Blissed out, what that would feel like.
so that's kind of what tonight was about. Is going to be about nirvana and what that is. So it's kind of goes hand in hand with it, and that's a really, really powerful meditation practice. I know I said that before, but it's important to be able to visualize what the heck the goal is in order to achieve a goal. You can't achieve something if you don't know what you're trying to achieve. So you try to, best as you can, to visualize, like just imagine. I mean, is that totally foreign to anybody when you're trying to do that? Like to try to like get into that,
We think about how there's not any more suffering because you don't see suffering and everyone you see is happy and
Yeah.
patient and.
Yeah, and that puts, just bringing that to your mind is extremely powerful because it puts the imprints, the seeds in your mind, which will create that for you in the future. Just by trying to like pretend, it's kind of like the fake it till you make it thing a little bit. There's some relevance to that. It's not just a kind of phony thing. Because of how the mind works, it's extremely powerful. Highest practices of Buddhism, it's a lot about that. It's just, trying to imagine yourself completely at peace, completely perfect. And trying to like move through the world like that. Easier said than done, of course, because we have the boxes, but the box that the suffering that we kind of label ourselves with that, I'm so far away from that, or, this I still struggle with, this I still struggle with. These are all just storylines that we keep reinforcing every time we bring them to mind. So it's kind of like inject a new storyline in there, and in time that'll start to take over, and then eventually the other one gets quieter than the new one. So, all right. No one has no questions about preliminaries? No, nothing. Okay. Alrighty. So.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can I
Yeah.
ask one question?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so when we think about the bad deed that we did and have the regret, and then think about how what we can do to flip that. So then say like, for instance, I snapped at my son. So I regret it because I see myself snapping at him, which means I still haven't figured that out completely, but it's coming from me, and I'm snapping at him probably because
Well, you're snapping
people
at
want
him.
to snap at me or something like, or,
Well, no,
you know.
You're
Somebody-
perpetuating that cycle by snapping at him.
Right, and it means it's gonna happen again.
Right.
So I tell myself, okay, you're, so that's the regret. And then, but I feel like there's like two steps to the regret. There's like the regret and the thing that we're gonna do to counteract it. But then there's also the other thing that we're gonna do.
There's 4 steps in purification. There's the 4 R's. Recognize is the first one. It's just, you got to recognize what the heck you did wrong in order to, yeah. No, it's
I'm
good.
sorry.
It's really important.
And that's what she's doing right now, is recognizing it.
Yeah, recognize the fact that, shit, I just yelled back at my son, and like, that probably wasn't the best thing to do. If, I've been studying this stuff and it makes sense to me that, how the mind works, and I'm putting imprints into my mind, and I just see myself put another negative imprint in my mind. So I recognize it. And then 2 is regret, develop that regret for it. And it shouldn't be like a guilt thing. It shouldn't be like,
Can guilt be part of it? Can you feel
Guilt-
guilty at the
it's-
same time?
it's funny, I think someone asked a question to the Dalai Lama. I heard this story before. Someone asked a question to the Dalai Lama before about, guilt and stuff. And like, he did not even know what they were talking about, because guilt does not
Doesn't
exist in
feel
that.
guilt.
It doesn't exist in their language or in their society. It's kind of, it's a selfish thing. Guilt is a selfish thing. It's like, it's about me, you know what I mean? I feel so crappy. I'm such a bad person, where regret is, drop poison in your water before you drank that. You wouldn't have guilt about it. You wouldn't say, I'm such a bad person for drinking the water. You would be like, oh my God, that was so stupid of me. So regret should be like that. Like,
Okay.
you just yelled at your son, but you understand that by yelling at your son, you're gonna create more irritating people in the future,
Right,
and you're gonna reinforce that habit of yelling at your son
right.
by doing it again. So you're trying to stop that. The goal is to stop these kind of irritating people. The goal is to stop
Right.
irritating people and any mental affliction, mental disturbances. So regret. And then 3 is I can never remember these two R's, but this is
So it's 3 months.
it's either resolution, restraint. So it's like, I'm going to stop doing it.
Right, I kind of told
Like,
myself
I'm going to restrain.
wasn't going to snap at anyone
Yeah.
for like the next 2 hours.
Yeah, right. So like,
Okay.
even if it's like the next 5 minutes, I'm going to, and like, I could be pretty well sure that I'll be able to do it. You know what I mean?
Well, see, then I feel like that's cheating.
No, but that is cheating.
I know
You're
for
right.
Sure, then I can
No,
do it because
you're
I'm
right.
like sitting quiet. Then
You should push
I
yourself.
got to make myself work harder.
No, you should push yourself, but make sure that it's not something you're going to break.
Right.
Ultimately, they say to really purify, like the strongest part of the purification is the not doing it ever again, in a sense. So that's what really purifies. So these are kind of like baby steps towards that, in a sense. They definitely help. But ultimately, the goal is to stop it altogether. Because if you could understand that, if you can have that regret and that understanding of karma, and that, by me saying to myself, do that again, if you could hold that in your mind at all times, you would never, yell back or. And then the last one is I think it's resolution is the word for it, but it's just the positive thing. It's like you have a scale and you just put like a weight on the left side of the scale, a negative thing. So you need to put something on the right hand side to like balance it back out or to over.
So that's where I get confused.
One is stopping,
So I have the one where I'm not going to
not going to do it.
snap at anyone
Restraint.
for 2 hours.
That's like an
my
absence.
restraint.
That's,
So then
Say some really nice things.
Yeah, make it
Yeah.
balance.
to my kids or to
anybody.
anyone. It doesn't have to be right.
Doesn't-
Okay, that's what I was thinking. It doesn't have to be my kids. It could just be people
Yeah.
and be more calm and patient.
Yeah, right. More so it's like the first one's an absence. Don't do it for a certain period of time. And the next one is a positive, like do something.
Okay.
So the first one's stopping, restraining yourself. The other one's like, okay, go and try to like counter that habit that you constantly have.
And what's
So,
that
like,
one called?
Resolution.
Resolution. I think that's the word that's used for it.
Or resolve.
Does that make sense? Resolution?
Yeah,
Like a New Year's, I always think of New Year's
You're resolving
resolution. Yeah.
But I'm confused, why doesn't the resolution have to be to the person that you have the regret to?
It can be, but it doesn't have to be, because you're working on your own mind, your own habits. So,
So it's about you, not,
I mean,
Right.
ultimately,
Solving
So
with
it's-
them.
It's about.
I mean, yeah, I mean, if you said something unkind to them, it would probably be smart to apologize and say something kind to them, right? But if you can't do that for whatever reason, and you know you're just,
It's not a person, it's something you did to like the environment or.
yeah, right, yeah, right. So if, yeah,
so
let's
you
say,
make a resolution, the positive mood.
yeah, I would say, yeah, if you can, they call it like third party perfect, where if you have struggles with someone in particular, and you know, if I just yelled at this person, but I know if I go back around them, and even if I try to do something kind to them, I'm probably going to wind up flipping out at them again. So it'd be smarter to try to find somebody else, you know, just don't even go near them and use the third party to perfect that, you know.
Right, I like that, third party resolution.
Effective.
The third party perfect, that's the term that it just basically find somebody else that you don't have such a strong connection with, you know, that's going to force you to maybe do something crappy again.
Yeah.
But like you're saying, if it's not somebody in particular, like, yeah, like you, you just threw a bunch of plastic bottles in the trash, for example, you know in the back of your mind that you should be recycling those. Because that's going to create a seed in your mind to see more carelessness in a sense, right? I mean, that's how I would see it. Like when I see, like me, if I just threw like a plastic bottle away in the trash, part of me is aware that that's just being me being careless and having total disregard for all other people, actually, because not recycling and stuff like that harms everybody, right? Because it's not just me, but by not taking care of this earth, we're harming all people. So so to counter that, it would be like, I'm going to go walk down the street and just try to find the trash. Instead of walking by the trash that I see on the street, like for the next block, I'll pick it up and throw it away, and that puts seeds in your mind to see more cleanliness, more people having regard for the environment, etc. So,
I'm telling myself he's my little Buddha, but.
oh, your son?
Yeah, like,
Oh.
like we don't know who.
Well, he is.
Yeah, exactly. He's one of the best.
Yeah, does that make sense? Yeah,
Mhm.
you got it. The 4.
Yes, thank you.
There's really cool on the retreat. There's fire ceremonies that we do that you do this purification in like a really strong way, where you make a fire, and you can kind of do these anywhere, but you kind of like write down on a few slips of paper, all the negative things that you did, and then like everybody, the retreats that I've gone on, there's sometimes like 100 people plus. Some of them were like 10, but everyone stands around the fire and everybody just takes turns throwing their like negative things into the fire and just like being done with it. Like this purification, like I'm just done with it. I'm going to stop that habit. I'm going to stop. Yeah,
I like that.
it's cool.
I've buried it in a jar.
That's a good idea too.
Really? Good job.
Write it down, put it in a jar and bury it.
That's good.
Yeah, fire.
Yeah.
I like it.
Fire right here. Yeah, let's do the fire right next week. But yeah, it's part of the. I mean, it's a totally necessary part of the path, is like getting rid of the negative crap, the negative habits. So purification is a big part of it. All right, so let's do. This is like this.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No.
You're the most patient person, Mark. We just shoot questions at you and
I'm there's no, like I said
Thank
before,
you.
there's no necessarily, like, we don't have like end of semester like in 2 weeks. It's like, it's just like whenever. So
Big exam.
it's more so like whatever you guys need, and whatever I can help to share with.
well, you're doing it. Thank you.
So sometimes I feel like I'm doing too much of this, and like not enough of maybe what's relevant to you guys and what's going on. If that's the case, just ask more questions. But if there's no questions, then this is default.
You always
Okay.
ask us if we have questions. You're
Yeah.
good. Thank
Okay.
you.
This will be default, just so at least we have something to perpetuate the class forward.
Okay.
And a reason to come. But if you ever have questions or anything comes up throughout the week or whatever, I can try to share my experience or maybe attempt to answer. Um, me and do you guys know Nicole here? Does anybody know Nicole?
Mhm.
Yeah. You know Nicole? No. We were talking about the other day because she's been
I
wanting to
love
do
Nicole.
she's been wanting to do a retreat, and she was talking about up in Himalayan, the Himalayan Institute. It's like an old missionary, missionary. Is it missionary? Right? An old mission, I guess.
Mission.
And it's like a dormitory set up, and you can rent the place for. You just basically. You just got to pay for your accommodations, and they have all food and stuff there. And it's up to Poconos. We were thinking about doing a retreat maybe in the fall.
Didn't she just go on one in the early
Yeah,
spring?
that's where she was. Yeah, that's she was telling me about it. So if retreat is like one of the coolest things to do, and become part of my life. One of the most biggest necessities. And the first retreat that I did was scary as hell, and it wasn't easy. But like
How long was that for?
10 days.
Wow. Of no speaking?
Huh?
Of no speaking?
I think it was like maybe 7 days of no speaking, 5 maybe. Might have been during
And
the.
you had like trying to phone and everything?
Well, here's the thing. I started going to a retreat with Lama Marut, and they were up in Massachusetts, and like it was like at a college, and they were a little bit more like for everybody, and a lot of new people coming. So like they were less strict, and it was kind of like, we're going to choose to be silent for the next few days, but try to follow that if you can, because it's for your own goodness, and for your own good, and for the people around you. Of course, you're going to be disturbing them. And then I started going to retreat out in Arizona, which was like more serious, more kind of where a lot of these classes originated from. And they originally started like taking your cell phone, taking your computer, just in the beginning, and literally it was just like no speaking, making sure that not even like writing to people. If you have to communicate with somebody, you can write, but try to. But it was much stricter, and I got much more out of, and it was much more out of the stricter one. And it's hard for the first like 3 days, but by like the last day, you don't want to talk. In my experience, you don't want to talk anymore. You've never gone. How many of you's gone like more than a day without talking to somebody? It's like never. Before I started doing a retreat. Yeah.
So if you had a question, you didn't ask a question either, then if you can't speak, right?
Yeah,
You kind of just let it go.
Yeah, you would just kind of let, there was teaching. So there's a lot of the retreats that I've gone on, there's been like classes. So there'll be like, like a course or some sort of text that we're following, and we'll go through like this for like maybe 3 or 4 classes a day. And then there's, time to meditate, and there's yoga practice. So it's kind of like you kind of got a schedule. And then there's more strict kind of retreats that you would, solo retreats that, I've done where, of course, there's no classes, and you're by yourself. And the idea is just to meditate as much as you can, and to be quiet and unplug and know nothing, right? Because we're trying to get at this place of stilling the mind, ultimately to understand what the hell we're always doing wrong, and why we're creating the suffering that we're constantly perceiving around us and experiencing ourselves. So the only way to really get into that is to get deep in meditation. So if you would write on a paper in the class-oriented ones, but you would usually save them up for the end. But they're really, really powerful, and I encourage you all to. I would like to do one with you if you guys want. But the thing is like finding the place. So it'd just probably be we'd have to drive somewhere, like probably the Poconos, or there is an awesome place in. There's a place right near Media. It's a Quaker church, Quaker place, and I did a retreat there before, but they're expensive. Like they just have much. From what I remember, they're expensive. Pendle Hill, that's what it's called. And I tried to like rent a place there to do a teaching before, and they said we're like booked 7 years out. Like if you want to book it for 7 years, I'm like, who has that kind of foresight to book 7 years out? Yeah, right. I think it's Pendle Hill. But I think you can go there and do your own retreat if you want it. If you just want it like a quiet, room. And literally you can do a retreat anywhere. But if you came from a noisy house or something like that.
What about on the 8th, July 8th?
looking at it now.
Oh,
Where's that?
Farm, Port Royal.
where's it, PA or New York?
Yeah, it's like an hour away.
An hour?
Uh-huh.
How much is it?
Please join us July 8th and 9th for a relaxing, refreshing, and rejuvenating retreat at the Gita Nagara Eco Farm with Devamardra Swami. I don't know. That's
Okay.
It is an opportunity to get away from the stress of everyday life and immerse in meditation and stimulating discussion with the Swami. Retreat will begin Saturday and end Sunday afternoon. It's $100 after this. And that includes accommodation, meals, activities.
Yeah, send that to me.
Wow. And then what to expect: delicious vegan meals, thought-provoking and soul-stirring presentations by Devamrita Swami, nature walks and farm fun, daily meditation, kirtan, that's what it's called, kirtan and bonfires.
Oh, that's what you did.
Yeah,
Okay.
and yoga class.
So you're singing?
Oh,
Yeah.
No, I'm singing.
Yeah, she does this, she's sung the.
The mantras. Yeah, usually, that's what usually, I never heard it done like as a
I
mantra.
know.
But you usually sing it, it's a chant. Yeah, usually.
So cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
That sounds neat.
Yeah.
I'll be in Bermuda.
My last.
Oh, that's great. You can meditate on the beach and think about some of that.
Accommodations, food, and
Yeah, so,
Graduated from Yale, this is cool.
so do retreat, you have to do retreat.
what's the name of it again? I'm sorry.
I'm gonna email it to the, class.
Okay.
I hope you have another retreat soon.
I
that you
do,
can make.
all October. Oh, you mean, you
Like
mean to
next
do
month.
one, yeah. Yeah,
Do you do them monthly? Is that how you do them?
we're here,
Or, yeah,
yeah, we were talking about doing monthly,
okay,
but it hasn't been monthly. That was the idea originally.
okay.
But I'm talking more,
Summer.
like if we took like a weekend,
Weekend.
you know, like a, maybe,
Right, right.
you know, where we can go and just kind of the idea is just to unplug completely from, you know, the everyday up and bustle.
Weren't we gonna start doing chants?
Chants? You mean the prayers?
Mantra, something?
The
I
prayers?
thought we were gonna start that. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Annabelle said you do it in the Monday classes. And I thought you guys said that you might start doing it. I could be wrong, but you were gonna put it on a piece of paper.
I was talking about the prayers,
Oh, okay.
which you could do as a chant, but it was more about the Buddhist prayers for these classes, but that's what I was talking about.
Just curious.
Yeah. We can do them if you want. Cool. So retreat, we're gonna do retreat. So it's in the back of my mind and I want to set something up, but in the meantime, if you can go somewhere else, just get in that habit of unplugging. All right, so let's just do a little bit today. So Nirvana. Does everybody remember what this is?
Oh, yeah.
The band.
But I was gonna say, do you remember
The
the
band.
band? This is the opposite.
Uh,
Okay.
so this is one of the goals. Is this not familiar to anybody? It should be. Did you heard of that Nirvana? Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. So in Sanskrit, and we're just going to kind of just go into depth about what Nirvana is, and maybe be a little bit more in depth than what you're maybe interested in, but you'll be an expert at it. So if anybody ever asked, you'll know exactly. So in Sanskrit, Nir means out, and Van means below, to blow. And in English, it's come into like, to blow has come into English as like ventilation or wind, to vent. So like a lot of our English is derived from these kind of Sanskrit language and stuff. So the full definition of nirvana is the permanent sensation in which one has eliminated the mental affliction, obstacles in their entirety due to one's individual analysis. And we'll talk about that. But actually, I forgot. I skipped stuff. Let me go back. Sorry, we didn't finish all last one.
Well, last week.
Yeah, there was like a few little things left, which we can definitely finish.
Oh, okay.
My bad. So that's just a little taste of that.
Oh, this is the whole bill looking for yourself?
What's that?
This is what I have written down. How do I change quote the me? You change yourself for your actions. You're not your body. You're not your mind.
Yeah, we got into that later.
Your
Yeah, at the
mind,
end.
go looking for yourself. That was how we ended.
Yeah. So we got to remember let's just do this then real quick. Remember these?
Yes.
The belief wish, personal responsibility wish. Sorry, Sandy. Can you see?
Yeah, the ripened wish.
Right,
Uh,
and then the all obstacles.
Right.
In the beginning.
So you kind of remember them?
Yeah.
What they meant?
Mhm.
Okay. And it's basically the understanding of the person, like and how they see things and how they understand the world. Then we were like going here. So 3 types of bodhicitta according to how one thinks. So that's this next little way to divide. We're on the ways to divide bodhicitta. So this is according to how one thinks. And the first one is king-like bodhicitta. Can anyone guess what this might be?
King-like.
If you know, we know what bodhicitta is.
Like the be all end all of bodhicitta.
Well, bodhicitta is the desire to want to get yourself out of suffering so that you can help all other beings get out of suffering. So the king-like bit is this idea that first I'll achieve it and then I'll lead all other beings into. So it's like I'm the king and I'll get there
Or the queen.
first, or the queen. Yeah, right. Yeah, it should be queen too. Sorry. And then I'll help all other beings get there. And these are just quick. And then 2 is shepherd-like bodhicitta. Which is I'll first make sure other people get there, like you're herding your sheep first. Like you all go first and then I'll come after you. You know, like just making sure you all get there first. So like a shepherd.
But isn't bodhicitta in itself getting yourself there first?
Like, yeah, it's good.
So that you can let them.
No, it's good because actually I'll go through the last one and then I'll come back to that point. There's just one more. And then the last one is ferryman-like. And this is like, all right, we're all on the
We're
boat
all in
together.
this together.
Yeah, we're on the boat
On the
together and
ferry.
we're all gonna like take the boat over. So we're all gonna go at the same time. And and then coming back to what you just said is basically this is the king-like bodhicitta is it's always this way. Yeah, it's always, but it's the attitude in your mind. It should be like these other 2, you know. It should be like, you know, like of course it's the attitude of I want you to go, you know, I want to help you get there. But understanding that, but it's that attitude which will get you there, you know, first. So it always happens the first way.
Right.
And it's through the method of helping others which you get there, which forces you to have to go first. So it's like, what is the quote from Jesus? The first should be last and the last should be first, right? So that's basically this idea. You can try to have this shepherd, like, you know, that should be in your heart. It should be that idea. Like, I want you to go first. You know, it's like the mother or the parents saving the child, you know, like making sure they go first. But the karma of that it'll make you be first. Like you'll achieve that first just because of that heartfelt wish. And that is the karma to have it happen to you in a sense first. So
all 3 of these types of bodhicitta can happen at the same time.
so these are just ways of thinking, you know, just like
Concepts.
yeah, like
Okay.
how you identify with bodhicitta.
Okay.
Like
So you
I
can
am-
choose what's comfortable to you or the journey you want to take.
Or just recognize.
I just think it's more just recognizing that there's 3 different kind of thoughts about it. It's either we all go together, you all go first and I'll come second, or I'll go first and I'll like make sure it's
So one isn't better than the other.
no, it's not
Okay.
necessary. But it always happens in the king-like way, which is that, you know, because it's the first shall be last and last shall be first. So
Okay.
by putting yourself last, automatically pushes yourself to the first place karmically. But it has to be in your heart that your intention is to put other people first. It
Right,
can't be
it's
like
not
I'm
to
faking.
go- It's not
Yeah.
because I want to be first.
Yeah. Yeah, if it's because I want to go first, I'm going to put you first, then you're just going
That's
to cancel it
selfish.
off, right? Then that's no longer bodhicitta.
Okay.
It's okay to you got to understand how it works, right? The karmic system, that the thought and the feeling and the heartfelt wish to want to put other people first is what's going to create that for you. You have to see yourself doing kind things in order for you to get that thing yourself, right? If you want happiness, it's got to come from you doing kind things. So there's a difference between doing kind things because you just want to feel
Right.
better and just for selfish reasons, or doing kind things out of a heartfelt wish, for the other people. And it's always been, all the good things you ever experienced in life have always come from your kindness to other people. And it doesn't change the fact that now that maybe you understand a little bit of how that process works, that you can't get away from it. If you ever want something nice, and all the nice things that came to you in your life have come to you because of you've been kind to others. That's how it's always worked, but just now you might be in tune with it. You might understand how the process works a little bit. So just by understanding it, you can't say, well, I don't want to go, that just sounds selfish, right? It's kind of, part of it sounds selfish. But that's how it's always worked. It's you have to see yourself doing something to someone else. So it has to be in your heart, out of love, out of kindness. That's the difference. Which bodhicitta is infused with is the love for others. So yeah, makes sense. Yeah, so I don't, it's not like you pick or choose. It's just the kind of thoughts about it. You hear different ideas about, but a lot of these teachings in this course are like clearing up different things that you might come across if you were like to talk to somebody else that studied in a different tradition. Maybe they might say, oh, well, no, bodhicitta is like everybody goes first and I'll come after them, right? But like understanding karmically that it's that should be the feeling, but how it works is that you go first. So, and then the two types of bodhicitta according to its basic nature. These are just two more things to think about. So first one is aspiring bodhicitta. And this is like a prayer. So this is the wish. You can have this wish in order to, like, bodhicitta being described as the wish to want to get enlightened so that you can help other people get enlightened as well, right? To get to that place, to remove suffering. At first it comes as a wish, it's just, that sounds really cool. And that sounds like something I'm into, right? And typically on retreats, if you have somebody that's able to give vows, every retreat I'm on, they typically will give vows out to people if they want to take them, if you want to take vows. And there's bodhisattva vows, which basically is this next one. Engaging bodhicitta is taking vows and like making it your commitment in this life to, I am going to do this no matter what. No one's going to stop me. This is like my life's goal. And you can take a set of vows to practice and to really make stronger imprints in your mind. So, but before you take the vows, you can aspire to have it. And in the vow ceremony, in particular, you have an option to just, you can kind of go through the workings of the ceremony, but you're just, in your heart, it's more of a prayer. It's kind of cool. Like, it's kind of like, I guess like in, I don't know, like you would have a little kid that would, I don't know, trying to think of a good example, but like a father that runs a race or something like that and crosses the finish line, and you take the kid and you just put him at the finish line and let him experience like crossing the finish line or something, like he couldn't, he's not ready to run the whole race, but like you can make him feel like he can practice or something like, I mean, that's probably not a great example, but this is basically just, it's just the developing the wish, which is, to some level probably already part of what you are
How
feeling.
they let kids run the bases at the Phillies games.
Yeah, like
So
that,
it
right,
feel like
right, yeah, right. So it just basically, it doesn't directly depend on taking the bodhisattva vows. And then the engaging bodhicitta depends on taking the bodhisattva vows. And really, really powerful about taking vows is that they leave much more powerful imprints in your mind stream. So the difference between dating somebody and getting married to them, it's a different thing that leaves in your mind. It's probably the same relationship, that you have, but the commitment's different. And if you break that commitment, it's much, much stronger, right?
What are the bodhisattva vows?
What was that?
The bodhisattva
Bodhisattva, yeah.
vows.
Yeah.
What are they?
What are they?
Yeah, oh, all the vows, okay.
Well, there's
Well, we talked
like
about
64.
the 10, right?
No,
No,
That's
there's
what I kept life and stuff.
they're the freedom vows.
Okay.
So then there's I think it's 64 bodhisattva vows, and basically they're like they're just taking those 10 and dissecting them a little bit more, getting more particular about your actions, and they correspond with those 6 perfections that we went through in the meditation.
Oh.
Buddha has perfected those 6 practices of generosity, of patience, of ethics, of joyful effort, meditation, and wisdom. So that's what makes them perfect. So you use these practices to make yourself perfect, like you practice them to get to that place, right? So then these 64 vows are they're sectioned off and they address one at a time. So like Bodhi, Bodhi, Sattva. And Bodhi means just the same as it does here is enlightened, like Buddha comes from Bodhi. And then Sattva means being. So it's Bodhisattva is just you. It's somebody that's practicing these things, and you can, if you're aspiring bodhicitta, if you have that in your heart, then that makes you an aspiring bodhisattva. And if you, engaging, and then if you take the vows, then you're a bodhisattva.
Cool.
Yeah. But yeah, the vows are, there's a lot more, and they're really, really cool, and they make, I don't know, my experience, I really, really enjoy them, and they're very much more particular about things. Like maybe you have.
You read them every day, you pick one a
So
day,
it's a
you
six
meditate.
times, like the 6 times a
same
day.
for
So
you.
you go through, 1 to 6, and then 6 to 12, and then 12 to 18, and you keep going up until you get to 64, and then you start.
You write every day, you do that writing every day? 'Cause I started.
If I'm being
and I
honest,
fell off.
I don't, because I'm bad at it at the present moment.
Yeah.
But over the years, I've always come back to it, and I always carry it.
Okay.
But if I was, I know that I should be doing it every day. That's the difference. Yeah, it's hard.
The writing,
It's a hard.
sitting and stopping and writing.
Yeah.
is
I mean, when I first started it, I was with it for a while, a year plus, which is great because it really, part of it is it's developing this mindfulness.
Yeah, right.
It's like a meditation. So like you're having to stop 6 times a day and like meditate really is what's happening. Yeah. And then, then the idea is it starts becoming automatic. Like where like everything you're doing is like, well, am I breaking, like you're almost going through those 10 and being like, it's just way more in your peripheral vision than it would be if you weren't. So this is a really, really powerful practice. And actually in the higher teachings, tantric teachings, you take a vow to keep your vows 6 times a day. Like you take a vow to keep this book.
Mhm.
So it's good to get in the practice now while you don't have a vow.
Yeah.
Inspiring.
Yeah. So it's a really powerful blessing that we're giving this teaching to keep this, because it's a high tantric practice, and tantra, the idea is you finish this off in this life, and not waste any more time. You can stop suffering and become enlightened in this life.
So in addition to meditating and thinking about all of this and wanting to help others and all of that, by keeping the book, it's raising up.
Yeah, sure, of course. And then engaging bodhicitta is like taking the vows. So there's refuge vows too. And in order to take the bodhisattva vows, you have to take the refuge vows. And refuge vows are basically like what this course is about. You have a good understanding of how the world works, how karma works, how emptiness works, and instead of taking refuge in worldly things for happiness, you take refuge in these teachings, basically. Kind of what we've been talking about this whole thing. So ideally, at the end of this course, we would take refuge vows, if that was something you want to do. Not that I can give them, but I'm just saying, just in this course, that's how they were originally taught, was that, if people want to take them, you take them.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
All right, I got the book.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool.
And when he calls them the vows of the yeah,
Bodhisattva.
they call them root downfalls. Doesn't
Yeah.
it? They have root downfalls.
And then secondary offenses,
offense.
yeah.
Is that the vows?
Yeah, the root downfalls they're much more grave than the secondary offenses. So if you break a root downfall, they're really, I don't want to say impossible, but they're pretty hard to repair. Like you break that vow and it's kind of like irreparable in this life in a sense. And they, you know, if you,
So instead of saying the root downfall would be praising yourself out of attachment to gain honor, out of attachment to gain or honor.
right,
For yourself.
right,
You would say, my vow is to not praise myself.
right.
And
And you know, in order to take the Bodhisattva vows, you would have to study them, particularly what they mean. And typically they have to do with a lot of the time in a more of a spiritual context, but in a general sense, you know, praising yourself out of attachment to gain or honor. To really do that and to really break this vow, you would have to follow kind of like, it would have to be in a stricter kind of thing, like putting down like I think from what I remember, the way to break this vow big time wise, the root downfall would be to put down like another Dharma teacher, like another monk or something, and say, oh, that guy's no good, and just listen to me, I'm the best Dharma teacher around, you know, you shouldn't listen to him. So that's really breaking that vow. Like, it's not like, you know, it's like a concentric circle theory. Like in there, he talks about like where if the middle of the like, think of a bullseye, the middle of the bullseye is breaking the vow, then you have these rings around it. And the further you get away from that, the less severe it is, right? So if you never, in your life, let's say you put somebody else down and say, oh, you were terrible today, or you're a jerk for, you know, yeah, that thing, yeah. So like let's say the outskirts of this vow would be like, you say to somebody, you were just terrible at your job or something like that, and I'm so much better than you. That would be like out here, like, but it's still like, you know, it's chipping away at this vow, you're getting close to it. But the full on breaking the vow, to really break the vow, would be, I'm pretty sure, it's been a while since I studied them, but I'm pretty sure it has to do with like putting down saying some other Dharma teacher is not as good as you openly to other people, right? Like an easier one to, let me see. There's one like of killing your mother. Yeah, committing the immediate misdeed of killing your mother, committing the immediate misdeed of killing your father, killing an enemy destroyer. Those ones, they say that they're, you know, if you break those vows in this life, they're called immediate misdeeds because you'll go to a hell immediately in your next life. Like those karmas are so severe that you'll just go to immediately to a hell when you go into your next life. So they're really great, like really grave vows that you don't want to break. And then the secondary offenses, you know, if you break them, they're not as hard to repair, and you can repair them easier. And there's ways that you there's ways that you would repair, kind of like the purification thing that we're doing in the book. You know, in some of in the secondary offenses, one of the things is, you know, you like confess it. You confess it to your teacher. You confess it to like a group of, you know, like-minded students. Like you get it off your chest in a sense. So that's like that fire puja. You know, it's cool. Like we were all in a room full of people, like at the retreat, and then everybody goes around, just takes a mic, and you know, actually we write it on a piece of paper and they put it in a basket, and then everyone will pick out one, and then someone will read it. So it's kind of like you're confessing in a sense in a public setting. Yeah, it was neat.
So kind of like a public reconciliation.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be much more impactful on you if you said your own, right? You know, they're being kind by saying you to someone. So that's, you know, that's engaging, you know, where you take those vows. But you have to study them, and you got to understand, you know, what it means to break them and get the severity of them. But on the positive sense, they're really, they're the things that will start making your practice and like your world change quickly, because they leave stronger imprints.
Can I ask you, like, I don't want to say it's a general question about refuge, but I know taking refuge is to try to have the most perfect, you know, correct vision of wisdom as you can, and how the world, how everything is really working.
Yeah.
But are you also suppressing enjoyment at the same time? Like, are you supposed to refrain from enjoying things?
Why you say that?
Because we're not supposed to take refuge in worldly things or, you know, material things, because we know that that's still suffering.
But how do you,
So,
and maybe
Yeah,
that's where my whole question about refuge is like, how do you, even though you're realizing that, yeah, it's gonna be suffering eventually, but right now it's pretty awesome and it feels great. And to not be happy about it would just not
Right.
feel right.
right, yeah, so,
Does that make sense?
yeah, no, I'm not 100% sure if it's a lower teaching. I think it's a lower teaching of Buddhism to say, to one extent, like there's refuge vows, and one of them is not taking refuge in worldly things once you've taken refuge in the Buddha. And, to the misunderstanding of that is like, I can't enjoy things, right? Like there's a misunderstanding of Buddhism that you're not supposed to enjoy things because they're ultimately suffering, right? If you become a Buddha, the goal of Buddhism is to become a Buddha, which is totally happy, content, loves everything, totally blissed
And you're
out.
enjoying everything.
Yeah, and you're enjoying everything, right? So how would that be the thing that gets you to that? You know what I mean? If those two things you're supposed to be, it's not, the major idea of it is ignorantly, is like you're enjoying things ignorantly is the problem. You're not supposed to enjoy things ignorantly because that will lead to more suffering.
Gotcha.
Enjoying
You're
things
enjoying
with wisdom.
knowing.
So you get like, a pack of, your favorite cookies from so-and-so, or your favorite ice cream. Enjoying that, no problem. Enjoying it ignorantly, like, I'm eating this, I'm eating it, and I'm gonna just eat this whole thing. I'm gonna eat this every day. And just eating the whole thing, right? Enjoying that wisely with wisdom would be, and taking refuge would be, wow, my favorite ice cream. Why do I have this in my possession right now? Why do I have my favorite ice cream in front of me right now? It's because I had to give something pleasant to somebody else in the past. So what's the best thing I can do right now is go stuff this ice cream down like my friend's throat or my partner's throat, right? Like, take some of this ice cream, please. You know what I mean? Please take this ice cream. And, you share. And that's it. And that's what you should. That's proper taking refuge. Taking refuge where you just don't, you can't take enjoyment in anything, that's wrong. It's ignorantly.
Okay.
The ignorant
That
piece
makes
is
me
the
feel a
key.
lot better.
Yeah, enjoy things. You should enjoy things. I mean, the whole goal is to enjoy things,
Right.
right? So, but understand where the enjoyment's coming from. Why you even see something that's enjoyable in front of you. Because if the ice cream by itself, let's say Rocky Road ice cream, does anybody not like Rocky Road? You don't like it? Okay, right. So that just proves right now that Rocky Road ice cream isn't enjoyable from its own side, right? So if I see Rocky Road as an ice cream that's enjoyable and it's in my possession right now, I have to think that it's coming from me. The enjoyableness of this ice cream is coming from me because I've helped somebody else. I've given somebody else something enjoyable in the past. I've helped somebody else have some pleasant experience. And now I see something in front of me that's pleasant because that ice cream Rocky Road is empty. It's blank as being good or bad. So liking it with wisdom is my favorite ice cream. So I'm going to make sure that I recreate more of this favorite ice cream for myself by sharing it. And that's it. So enjoy things, but share it. Understand. Everything that comes into your world, it should be just a conveyor belt. Like you take a bit and give, take a bit. Every month, all the money that comes into your life, it should be like you take some, you take what you need and give. You have to.
Right.
It's the only way to get it. Otherwise it's going to stop. Like eating your ice cream and just killing the whole thing because you love it so much, and then someone's watching you eat the whole thing. Like when you were little, you used to do this all the time. Like, oh my God, give me it. I'm going to eat the whole thing. That's the direct cause for having it stop and not to come back. Because the enjoyableness of ice cream is not out there. You might get Rocky Road ice cream next week and you're like, oh, I hate that shit. I ate so much of it last week, So.
Start talking about the bag of cookies I finished off on Saturday night. My brother was like, seriously, did you just eat that whole bag of cookies? I'm like, yeah, I did, Dad. Sorry.
So, yeah, that's a good question. It's really important because it's not about not liking things. It's using,
But also being grateful.
Yeah.
The ability.
but understand why you have it. That's going to separate you from lower school, is like understand why, or lower teachings of understanding is why you have this, why you're perceiving something as enjoyable.
Like my Dunkin' Donuts takes coffee. I should be thankful that I am able to go to Dunkin' Donuts and get the iced coffee.
Right.
Where
Well,
I have the money to pay
right.
for it, and that's available. And
You can go to Dunkin' Donuts one day and they cannot have iced coffee because their ice machine broke, for example. Or I mean, your karma is so good at this point that if that one doesn't work, you just go to the one right down the street, or right. So those kind of things, our karma's gotten so good that it's kind of hard to like fall out of the habit of, but think of things that are more rare, like those
There's
things.
somebody who's grabbing my wallet and there's no money in there.
Yeah.
I kept pulling to the parking lot. I'm like, well,
Yeah, right.
we're supposed to have iced coffee.
But they could have free iced coffees at Dunkin' Donuts that day too, right? Theoretically. You could, free samples
And I
days.
remember I had the coupon. Okay. This is making more sense. Thank you.
Yeah.
I was starting to feel bad for feeling like good about it.
No, still good, but understand where it's coming from. All right, let's just close eyes for 2 seconds. Sorry, we're 5 minutes over. So just take a moment and let's dedicate practice. Dedicate coming here. This is a practice, practicing with mind. Just dedicate all these efforts, taking the time out of your night, out of your day, and to being able to realize these goals, to being able to fix yourself so you can help other people you love, people in the world. And just see it as at your heart center, a light, like a little sun at your heart. And this light starts to fill the entire inside of your body. This is all your goodness from tonight. So just see it start to fill the inside of your body. And it starts to get so much that it starts pouring out of your pores. And it just starts to radiate out of this room, this white light. And it touches all the people on the street here, all the people driving by, all the people in Norwood, all the people in Delaware County, all the people in PA, out to the US, the whole US. This light touching all the beings, and reaching around the entire world. And then out from the world out to space. And see it travel through space and reach all the planets, maybe out there with other life forms. And just dedicating the efforts to achieving the goal, stopping the suffering for yourself and for all others. And then start to withdraw it back in from space to the US, to the world, to the US, to PA, to Norwood, and back into the room, and back into your heart. I'll just close by bringing that person to mind that you have sitting there still. And I'll just have them start to shrink down, turn the face the same way as you, shrink down to the size of a pea. And then come to rest on top of your head. And then you can either leave them there or just send them down through that central channel, that channel made of light, McDonald's drinking straw. Red, luminous in color. And they come to rest right down at the heart center. And try to feel them there. Put them in a little room the size of a pea, or even smaller. And just see a nice, beautiful space for them. And come back to breath. And then come out. Good.
That was really awesome.
Yeah, it was
That whole,
Thank you all.
wow, thank
Good
you.
job. Good questions.
Thank you so much.
Wonder if this worked. We'll see. Stop broadcast.